Hey folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome to the farm vlog today. We are driving around on the farm in the truck. And the reason we're driving around on the farm in the truck is because we have a very special box right here in the truck with us. So today we got a phone call from the post office to let us know that our baby chicks had came in from Meyer Hatchery, and what we're going to do is we're going to teach you exactly what you need to do for your baby chicks when you first get them from the hatchery. So we'll talk about ordering, we'll talk about what you need to do, we'll show you our setup and how we're doing this, and we'll talk a little bit of baby chickology. So we'll talk a little bit about the baby chicks and teach you a little bit. All right, so let's have a little bit of fun here on the farm teaching you about baby chicks.
From Stoney Ridge, Stoney Ridge Farm.
Before we get started talking about what we do to set up for the baby chicks, which we were unprepared, you need to do this the day before your baby birds come in, but it really only takes about 5 minutes, so I'll show you. But let's take a look at the birds that we have here. So right in this box we have some rainbow ranger broilers, and over here we've got some broilers and some meat birds, and we also have some real cuties. We also have some egg layers. So pretty cool. What we're going to do is we're going to show you the difference in how the rangers grow versus the Cornish cross birds, which are these little yellow birds right here. They grow a whole lot faster than the ranger bird, and we'll show you the difference in how each type of bird grows. So some birds grow faster than others, some birds grow really fast, and some birds grow normal. So we'll give you a little bit of detail as time progresses. So be sure and subscribe to the channel so you can see more of this. The chicks are fine. They were shipped out yesterday from Ohio, and we're in North Carolina, so they really came quick. Pretty awesome. Pull out a baby bird and show you a little bit about him. This little yellow thing right on the tip of his beak is called the egg tooth, and that's how the baby chick breaks out of the egg. You can expect that to shed within 1 to 2 days. You can tell the older chicks in here have already shed them, but that little egg tooth right there will flake off. That's kind of normal. It's normal for your baby birds to be pecking at each other and just kind of being curious and running around and beep beep beep, just checking each other out, and most of the time they'll peck that thing right off, so it's pretty cool. Look, he just fell asleep in my hand. So we're gonna mix all these birds up. I'll tell you what we got here. Whenever you get a box from Meyer Hatchery, this will have the shipping label, and this will have what you got. So we got rainbow ranger broilers. We got one bird from the Meyer meal maker, and that bird is supposed to be donated to a local food bank, or the meat is supposed to be donated, or the eggs are supposed to be donated. That's a deal that Meyer Hatchery has. If you just ask for a meal maker bird, they'll give it to you for free. Now we've got barred rocks, Rhode Island reds, jumbo white Cornish cross, and brown egg layer assortments, 2 of them. Cool. Now what we use for a brooder box, and we call it a brooder box, it's basically where the baby chicks would stay. If the mother was with them, she would take care of her brood. You're now the mother, and this is how you take care of the brood. So this is a 100-gallon stock tank. It's a watering tank for livestock. You'll buy it one time in your life, and it lasts you forever. We have 2 of these for raising our baby chicks, and what we'll do is we'll layer it with some shavings, and I'll show you how we do that, and we'll get a heat lamp. Now it's 82 degrees out here. These birds don't need heat. There are 37 of these birds, and they can bunch up and get heat. But if it's below 70 degrees or so, 75 degrees, you need to keep the birds warm. What I found is that you need to keep these birds somewhere between 80 and 90 degrees for the first couple days. The baby birds' temperature regulation system in their body is not ready yet. It's not ready to keep them warm. So if it's wintertime or cold weather when you get these birds, you really got to make sure that you keep them warm. We're not even going to put a heat lamp on them at this point. Today it's so warm, we're just going to put them in the brooder, and tonight we may put a heat lamp in, and we may just use a standard 100-watt bulb. You really don't want to roast these birds. Now with the heat lamp, if you've got a heat lamp, and we'll show you what we have, but if you've got a heat lamp and you got it down there on the birds, and all the birds are way on the other side of the brooder, you've got it too hot. You need to raise that heat lamp up, or you need to exchange your bulb for a regular incandescent bulb and not a heat lamp bulb. When you've got this amount of birds in this small of a space, you'd be surprised at how much heat that they make on their own, and you'd also be surprised at how little heat you'll have to provide for them. Now on the other hand, if your birds are huddled up underneath the heat lamp like that means they're too cold, and you need to get that heat lamp down a little closer to them so that they stay warm. You want to find a comfortable balance where the birds will utilize the entire space of your brooder, and they stay nice and warm and comfortable, not too hot, crowded away from the light, and not too cold, crowded under the light, freezing to death. So let's go set the brooder up. Let's get this big boy in here. Ooh. right, let's get our sawdust. Now folks, if you were expecting some sort of rocket science here, you're dead wrong. We're just gonna put a little bit of shavings, just enough to cover the bottom of our brooder here, okay? So this big bag of shavings should last through the entire brooding process of your birds. And this is the bag that we had from last time, so it'll last you, that's for sure. You can use any type of shaving really, but the pine wood shavings tend to work better for me. I don't really like to use the cedar shavings because I'm told that cedar shavings can cause illness. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm told, and therefore I use the pine shavings. All right, we'll bring our birdies in here. We'll set them in here. Now guys, just like when you put fish in an aquarium, you need to put your baby birds in here and let them sit and get acclimated to the temperature for about a half hour before you release them. I'm kidding, you don't have to do that. It's not like an aquarium. You open the box and you take your birdies and you can set them out. Just reach up underneath there with your fingers, pick up a few of them and set them out here. Or whoop, you can go the easy method, give them a little tip. And these birds are a lot more resilient than you might think, okay? There you go, guys. Your new home. Good deal. Now inside this box is baby's first meconium. It's the baby's first poop. Now the first poop is kind of greenish, yicky, and if you have kids, if you have babies, you know what meconium is. Pretty cool. If you don't, Google it. Now let's talk about feeders and waterers. This is the feeder that we'll be using at first here. And you see that little dude right there? That's very important. That thing right there spins so that the baby birds won't light up here and sit there and poop down in their food. Now we use a 20 or 24% feed and we pour it in a little trash barrel, which is right over here. We'll get a little scoop out. And basically these little birds, we'll pour it right in there just like so. This ain't rocket science, folks, but it does require a little bit of knowledge. And I didn't know this when I first started, and now if you didn't know, you know. So we'll just fill our feeder up, not all the way full, but you know, mostly full. And we'll set this guy over in there. Now, for water. When we first start watering our birds, we don't want to put a gigantic water container in. All these water containers and feeders are available from Meyer Hatchery, and that's where we got the birds. This right here is a little 1 quart-ish waterer, okay? And this will screw right onto a quart jar. You can buy just that and put it onto a jar, a gallon jar, whatever kind of jar you want. And you see I've got gravel in here. So these baby birds like water. When I set this in here, they'll go to water. You don't have to do anything to teach them, but if you feel like you want to teach them, all you got to do is take your baby bird and whoop, just dip his beak over into the water. So what I'll do is I'll set this in there and I'll dip maybe 5 birds' beaks down in the water. They'll learn where the water is, and the other birds are very inquisitive, and then they'll follow them right over there, and they'll all know where the feed and the water is. They'll find the feed, don't worry. Now the reason we have these little gravels in here is again because the baby birds just came out of an egg, a wet egg, and when they get right in here, they see the water and they decide, ooh, that's the cozy wet spot that I was in before, and they can get in here and drown. So be sure if you use a deep waterer, don't put like a water dish or a water pan in there without putting something in there to keep those birds from sinking down in there, okay? You can even use a sponge around here to keep those birds from going down in the water and drowning. That's a common thing that happens with baby birds. Here we'll set our feeder kind of right in the middle. You'll see the babies, they're very inquisitive, they'll go right to it. Then we'll set our waterer kind of off to the side right here. And you'll see, they'll start pecking at it and they'll figure it out. Here's what you do, if you want to teach them, take your bird and dip his head down in there. There you go. So he started drinking immediately. Perfect. So you see the baby birds are very inquisitive. If you're worried about one learning, just take him and dip his head right down to the water and you'll see they instantly learn how to drink. Baby birds like this can go without feed for 3 or 4 days, so it's pretty cool. They live off the yolk that's in the egg. Now let's show you guys what we use for a heat lamp. Basically this is our heat lamp, and we take a clamp and we clamp it on and we hang it down right inside of our brooder. We don't need it right now, okay? I take the bulbs out for storage. This is the heat lamp bulb that you need. I take these out for storage because you are very likely to break this bulb off inside that fixture right there if you don't take them out for storage. Just a little tip. So let's quickly review everything we've talked about here and a little bit of food for thought for your birds. If you're going to store your heat lamps, take your heat lamp bulb out of the fixture so that it doesn't break. Baby birds can go 3 to 4 days without food or water But when you first get them in, you want to put them in a warm place. You want to put them in a tidy place. You want to put them with some food and with some water. And you want to make sure that they don't have the potential to drown. You want to make sure they're nice and warm, anywhere between 80 and 95 degrees, depending on the number of chicks. If you've got 3 baby chicks, then you're going to have to worry about them being warm more. If you've got 40 baby chicks, then you won't have to worry so much about it. Now, if it's cold outside or cold in your garage, it's down below 70 degrees, you run the potential of hypothermia with your baby birds, and you want to take care of those baby birds. So use common sense pretty much. Make sure that your baby birds don't have that drowning potential, okay? And you can eliminate that by just putting a few little rocks, sprinkle a few rocks down in your water. And that potential kind of goes away after, I'm going to say 4 or 5 days. Don't put a big pan of water in with your baby chicks because they will die. That's it. That's the truth. Get you some food. 24% is what we use. I like 24%. You can get by with the 18 or 20%. The 24% is a little bit better, I think, to get them a good start. But you'll have to check on the Meyer Hatchery website and see what they recommend for each type of bird, because meat birds require more protein than laying birds. So when the litter inside the brooder gets a little bit caked up with poopy, we'll go ahead and we'll put one more layer about that deep of shavings over top. So we'll just keep layering and layering until it's time for them to come out of the brooder, which will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 weeks, something like that, depending on how warm it is outside. We'll be moving these birds on pasture out here on the farm, and we'll show you how all that stuff works. So be sure, pound that like button, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the channel if it's your first time, and we'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge Farm. If you have any questions, any suggestions, anything, please leave them down there in the comments section. I thank you so much for coming today, and I hope you learned something. All right, we'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge.
We'll come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife and bring your kids and living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's supposed to be, Stoney Ridge. Woo!